Okay, maybe this is it. I don't know. Let's see here. If you are seeing this, please let me know in the comments because I don't know if I've started or not. There were different directions on here that I've never done this before. So my name is Dr. Kaiya Ansorge, and we are trying to do a workshop on transforming social distance into connecting with our soul. During this period of great uncertainty, we're all in a place where we are not exactly sure what we're supposed to be prioritizing. That's one of the things I want to work on this time, because some of us have a lot of work to do and some of us don't have much work to do because our work is laid off. So we're all in different situations. Okay, so Carrie, you're on. Let me see what's going on here. Hello?
Hi, Kaya. This is Nathan. How are you?
Good. Is it not showing up on your end?
No, it's not showing on your page,
Okay, okay. Oh, it is. Is it working? So you see me on the phone or what? Oh, okay, okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Hi. Thank you, Carrie, for joining and letting me know that you're on so that I know that I'm actually working here. Sorry, this is new. This is something I wanted to learn how to do, but it's very nerve-wracking because I have never done this before. So it's a learning curve. My name is Dr. Kaiya Ansorge, and I welcome you to this workshop. We're going to be working on what's called transforming social distance into connecting with our soul. I also wanted to call this workshop Soul Abundant, because when we connect with our soul, sometimes we think that will be a lonely process, and that's the last thing we need during this time, is to feel lonely. But we can utilize this special set-aside time to connect more closely with who we really are. And what we find is that our soul, because it's connected to the divine, is infinitely full. It's just that our daily lives, the ones we were living before, usually are so busy and so full of interruption and interaction that we can't really access that full abundance. So we're afraid it's not even there. So that's one of the things that we're going to be doing during this workshop. That's kind of the main point. So this workshop is brought to you by Lost&Found, which is an organization run out of Sioux Falls that especially serves campus health, changing campus health by building personal and community resilience. And I wanted to thank them for getting me going on this project that I've always wanted to do, but I was pretty scared to do. So, about me. As I said, I am Dr. Kaiya Ansorge. I am academically trained in psychology, philosophical theology, and religion. I teach in the counseling and psychology division at the University of South Dakota. I'm also a holistic consultant for Exhale Wellness Spa and a speaker for Lost&Found, who you probably came here today through Lost&Found. With this workshop, the overall view is very cheerful, and I know not everyone is feeling cheerful right now. So part of the process is to figure out when we are allowed to feel happy and to enjoy things, and when we really do have to have compassion and empathy and be with others who are near and dear to us, as well as those that we are connected to across the world. But we don't have to be fully submerged in distress. So this is going to be a 3-week journaling workshop. This first week, I will provide some prompts and we will get started. So first thing I would like you to do is to make sure you have a notebook or a journal of some sort and something to write with, paper. Just a cheap notebook is great, or a scrap piece of paper, whatever. I would like you to have something that you kind of have together so you can keep some lists. Now, I know you could do this on the computer, but for the most part, most of us are spending so much of our day on the computer that I would actually like it if you would try to do the paper version. There are a variety of reasons for that during the normal period of life, but during this period of life especially, we kind of need a break. We need to have some things that feel real. That material world, it's super important, and we're not getting out into it as much as we should right now. In some ways, we're getting into it more because we're at home touching all the objects around our house. So as we go through this, we're going to be also trying to get some clarity around what brings us the most joy and where we want to put our priorities. As we're going also, if you would, I wasn't sure how this works, but it looks like I don't hear anything from you. This is how behind the times I am. I don't hear anything from you. So I would like to have you, if possible, put comments in the comment section, and I will be reading those as we go through. So comments and questions, things like that, as we go along, post those in the discussion right along what you're seeing on the screen for Facebook. Also, at any time, you can connect with me through Facebook or through my webpage during these weeks. So the in-between times, you can write here, but you might want to write to me personally also. So that's just Kaiya Ansorge. I have both like a business type page on Facebook, but I also have a personal page, and that's totally fine too, so a messenger. But also you could go to my website, which is www.kaiyaansorge.com, and I will be able to see that because that'll shoot me an email. So that'll for sure get to me. The next thing I wanted to make sure I covered as we're stepping into this workshop, that I want it to be a project that you can work on that helps you get clarity about what you want to do during this period. We all have a lot more time in some ways, although it's also very strange time because a lot of us are homeschooling our children at the same time, or you're back at home because you're on campus and you're a college student, you're back at home and you're interacting with your family members in a way that is so different because now you're semi an adult. And so how do you hammer out that new relationship? So a lot of us are going to be working on relationships, whether we like it or not during this period. And I think that's actually amazing. We don't get many times to do that, not prolonged periods and not super immersion. So this is our chance to kind of try to get it right. This is a chance to move into the next section of our life, however that ends up opening up, with a renewed sense of who we are and where we come from. As we're looking at this period of time in history, this has never happened before. Yes, there have been other epidemics, there have been other pandemics, but we've never had anything quite like this because our world is so much more connected. I teach diversity at University of South Dakota, and one of the things that we are finding is that there's so much more movement around the globe. We've got so much travel and immigration and emigration. So we've got that going on all the time. So this is something that is new in terms of how the scale of it, and it's bringing us together as the whole world. But also because it's so big and it's so different, it feels extremely, it gives us a lot of anxiety because we're sensing that edge, that precipice. It is there, it really is. And as we go forward, one of the goals of this workshop is to realize that because we have this precipice and we don't know where we're going next, we have to write into what future we want. We want to journal it, start documenting what future do we want. But this is also a time that is so much in flux that we'll actually be able to manifest a little bit more clearly what we really want. And that doesn't mean just money goals. Money is really wrapped into the anxiety part. So I don't want us to be too involved in the money part because that might drag you down into a rabbit hole. Instead, I want you to think of what what you really want for your soul. Our souls don't care about money. So what do you really want for your soul? What do you really want for this one life you get to live in this body? So as you go forward, I want you to keep that in mind, because we're going to try to get more clear on that and prioritize our goals. And then also part of the reason we're doing weekly check-ins is so that we can make sure that you're getting done the things that you want to get done during this period, not just getting mired in lots of tasks, because that's also what we humans do. Whenever we have a little opening, we add a bunch of stuff in. But the first process is to get an, so it's going to be a multi-step process. One step is going to be what are the possibilities and the options, and what are the things that we think we might like. Well, that kind of opens the field, and that feels a little scary. That's the last thing we need right now. So we can't stay there. What we need to do is, but we do need to find out what those options are so that we can then hone in on the ones that are the most important to us. The other thing I wanted to address right at the outset here is religion. We have quite a few different types of religions that are going to be represented here through the Lost and Found organization. They serve both secular universities as well as some Christian universities, but throughout all of those populations, as well as the populations that are reached beyond, like I'm seeing here, all of my friends are very diverse. And all the populations in these schools are also going to be diverse. We all have our own spirituality, even if we have the same religion. That's what's interesting about religion, because it's a big umbrella, and we each have our own spirituality under that. And if we're secular, that's fine too. I want you to practice just using, you can use my language any way you want to be of service to you, because this is for you. This isn't, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I just want you to use this as something that might be helpful to you. And if it's not, then it's not. But what I'm seeing on my list, as I'm seeing some artists that I know, even one down in Texas, a very old friend of mine. And I know that some of you will want to be journaling, and some of you might want to be doing this more as like something that you do with artwork, and you can do a journal that way. You can do it with drawings. That would be wonderful. I think that's a great idea. So I definitely would treasure that as well. So how this workshop works, let's get very clear on that. We are going to journal, and we're going to do a little bit of it here. Oh, actually, we're going to have plenty of time to do it here. We're going to do some journaling here. And of course, you can, I'm going to post this, so it will also be something that you can come back and forth to. You don't have to do it all today if you don't have time. We'll do some journaling exercises here, some questions that I will ask you. And then throughout the week, I would like you to do some journaling if possible about this topic, and also about your progress, because I want you to, after we kind of suss out what we want to do and what we want to either prioritize or have as goals, or what we want to get done in a tasky kind of way, or what we want to remember. As we do that, we're going to record those. We're going to make our primary priority, and we're going to record your progress on that each week. And I'd like you to report in on next Thursday, if possible, about that, and tell me how it's going and what's worked and what hasn't. Then we can work on also just very brass tacks. How do we get things done that we want to get done? Like, you know, taking very minute steps is one of the big things. Yes, it would be wonderful if you spend your entire day painting. That would be fabulous. But for a lot of us, that isn't really going to be a possibility, or that sounds a little overwhelming. So it really just means getting your brushes out and getting a table space or an easel space or whatever you need to do your work. And that's true for all of us with whatever thing that we want to put at the forefront of that list. The other temptation during this time is to make a whole lot of plans about a lot of things that we want to get done. We all kind of want to be a Renaissance man, woman, right? We all want to do that. But life is short, And we are very limited and confused beings. And so if we have too many things on the list, we just get overwhelmed. It just doesn't work that well. It doesn't feel good. So we have to get very clear and just put one or two at the top. Other things will get done because we are living beings and we have physical bodies. So we will get other things done, but they won't be the main one that we're putting on that list. So for me, for instance, one of my main concerns is at the beginning of this, in my particular situation, I was having to work more. And so all of a sudden I looked up and I'm like, this is my chance to be homeschooling my child. I want to spend more time really doing that. I got to homeschool one other time for a short period, and here I get to do it again. How awesome is that? And so I want to make sure that I spend a little bit of time doing that every day, even though I have these other pressures that are very alluring, and I love them too, but I want to make sure that I get that one done and I don't let that one just fly by. That's the one that will really hurt me when I'm 102 years old looking back, right? Or 92 or whatever. Okay, so that's how we'll work the workshop. Now, okay, and I just got a message from Susan, and she said that she loves that we can include both journaling and artwork. Thank you, Susan. That's awesome. That's exactly what I was hoping for you. I know that you do a lot of art, and you also keep yourself really busy. So, and you've got children that, well, a child right now that you need to work on the homeschooling with too as well. So I know that you're especially busy. A lot of us are feeling that pressure where we have multiple hats we're wearing right now. Yes. So I'm going to say hi to the people that I see on my screen, and I don't know how to see what's going on at the Lost and Found scene, so I can't see that. So I will say hi to Emily Prochnow. I have not seen you for years. And Jessie Flores, oh my gosh. Bill Bender, I saw you a couple of years ago, and it's been good to be connected with you here. And Carrie, thank you so much for coming. That's great. Okay, so those are some of the people on here, and we'll see who goes forward on these weeks. Now, why do we want to write? I'm going to do my little spiel on this. Some of you are practiced writers and you don't need this spiel, but I know it gives me a little pep talk. I'm kind of a cheerleader at heart. I never was a cheerleader, but I like to act it out now, right? Now that I'm in my 50s. So my true cheerleader comes out. Anyway, so why do we write? In this particular case, we're going to write for three reasons that we're going to write right now. Anxiety, depression, confusion. So the reason we're writing for anxiety is anytime that we have anxiety, one of the tools in the toolbox is to do some sort of meditation. Writing can be used as a meditation. I love it for that because it's not only does it calm me down, it also solves problems, which is amazing. And it also helps any meditation practice, and there are many types, but any type of meditation practice that you use, you can use lots of different kinds. They actually all work in combination. They help rewire the brain, retrain it to work in ways that are more positive. So as we're writing, I invite you to allow yourself to write long enough that you can write down your worries and your concerns, but don't stop there. Keep going and either take them to the nth degree, like all the way to their logical conclusion of the most crazy it could get, just to see what that is, because sometimes whatever is the most scary, if we just see it, it loses its power. If we name it, it loses its power. Also, you can then, if you use a really cheap notebook like I do, you can always rip it out and burn it up as a kind of symbolic, getting rid of this thing. And then the other thing you can do is you write it out and then you allow yourself to transition into something else because you kind of let it go. It's had its say. And your brain and your soul needs to know that it's heard. And so when you're writing, part of it is that you're witnessing to yourself and you're making a promise to yourself that you will take it seriously. So often when we have anxiety, part of it is that our insides are thinking we're not listening to us because we're just powering through the day and we're bullying ourselves to get more done. And we're feeling social pressure or whatever kind of pressure. Anxiety is funny that way because it can come from any direction. It really doesn't. It'll glam onto any kind of host, right? We can find anxiety in all sorts of ways if we tend that way. So writing is very powerful in its ability to handle writing anxiety. Now, with depression, one of the things I'd like you to do is, though I want you to write, I'd also like you to get outside every single day, just for a little bit, or for a long time. Go outside, because we are allowed to go outside still. I don't mean go and hang out with other people, of course. I mean, go for a walk, go for a bike ride, go garden. If you, some of you are down in Texas, you can start gardening now. We're getting close to that season. And if you start to grow things, that will give you a lot of powerful energy as well as hope. It also will help our little prepper selves that we're embodying right now during all this crisis. But anyway, so go outside for depression. That's one of the things that can really help sort of move that. In Chinese medicine, there's a lot of times that energy is kind of stuck. And so part of it is getting it moving a little bit, but very gentle movements, because depression also means that you're feeling like you can't move. So you have to make it very, very gentle and very, very slow. So just going outside to have a cup of tea or going outside to do your writing. Those are all really great ways to start to lift that feeling of depression away. And confusion, the last one. This period of time is the most confusing period perhaps I've ever experienced. I feel like we're all confused because all the structures are changing, all of our lives are changing at rapid pace. We all want more structure, but we want to choose ourselves what that structure is, right? And now that we're a few weeks in, I'm starting to feel a little bit better. This probably would have been even more helpful a week ago, I'm not sure, but maybe some of you are still feeling that confusion. And I think part of that is because there are so many choices available. And that sounds sort of counterintuitive, because when we're feeling anxiety, it can actually feel like we're getting shut down. But part of it is there's so many different ways to do our daily lives that is so different than what it was before. It just feels utterly, we feel very unsettled. And so when we write, we can sort through those priorities in a very clear and logical way. And we might have to do it many times. When I was, right after my son was born, I was feeling so confused. And every day I thought, what is going on? So I'd make a list and I'd say, what am I forgetting? What am I forgetting? And suddenly it dawned on me. I wasn't forgetting anything I could put on that kind of a list, which meant, you know, I don't know, do the dishes, go to the store, whatever. That kind of list wasn't going to handle it, because what I was forgetting was who I was. It was existential forgetfulness. And that's the kind of forgetting we're kind of doing as a culture right now. So that's why it's super scary. It's giving birth. We're giving birth to something new, and we have to re-envision what that's going to be. It is that big. I think it's really that big, that we're at a different stage, and we'll never come out of this quite the same. But it's like giving birth. It's something, it can be something wonderful. There are going to be some really hard things with this, hopefully a lot less than that we hear projected on the news. And nothing we worry about will help that get better. The only way to do that, to help things get better, is to do some activism if you feel that will help. You can also do prayer, and you can do financial support. So one of the things I think with caretaking, and this is a big area of caretaking, and this will help with anxiety as well. Part of the reason we have anxiety is we don't know what needs to be done, and we have a lot of energy out there, and how do we catalyze that? So when you're caretaking, there are 3 prongs of caretaking. You should only choose one. If you choose more than one, you will struggle. If you choose all three, you will definitely feel horrible. When I was taking care of my mom when she was dying, I really recognized this, and I think that this is a good rule of thumb for anybody when we're caretaking. Right now, we're caretaking all of society, all of us for each other. So number one is financial. If you have the financial resources, that's a great way to do caretaking. Number two is social, emotional, spiritual, that kind of caretaking. That's kind of what we're doing for each other today. And number three is physical. So if you can physically help someone, like if you can go to the local public school and help hand out lunches, that kind of thing. So some of us have jobs that are physical caretaking. So you're kind of used up. You need to back off and just allow yourself to relax when you're not doing that. So all of us have a different set of issues that are going on in our daily lives. Actually, usually a multitude. Hi, Holly. I see you there. That's great. So anyway, how we're going to start today is we are going to first start by expanding the field. And I want you to get out your piece of paper, your notebook, and we are going to start writing today, right away. Part of it is a lot of you guys are going to be really too busy, so you might end up doing most of your journaling during these sessions. That's totally fine. You can also do them. You can also do them throughout the week. Obviously, that's better. But as we go along today, we're gonna learn this process, and we're gonna start the process. So first, we're going to start the first set. And this phase is going to expand the list of things we could do during social distancing. The next stage will be more to narrow what we actually want to do. And then the third is to implement those and manifest what we want in our lives. So I will time you, and we're going to begin in just a minute here. So the first one is going to be, I would like you to make a list of activities, priorities, goals, tasks, and possibilities. So keep these a list. I just want a list of all the different kinds of things you've thought of doing during social distancing. It could be cooking healthy food, things that you've wanted to do for a long time that you haven't put on the to-do list. So you might find out that all those things that you put on the back burner, they were there for a reason. That's what I usually find out with myself. But it might be that some of those actually come to the fore during this period. So cooking healthy meals, learning a language, singing, calling relatives, learning how to play an instrument, painting. I had paint a painting or a wall. So you could do some home renovations. It's really a great time to do home renovations and organization. So ready? We're going to do this for 3 minutes. And then as you think of them, I would like you to enter them in the comments if you could. That would be great. And we'll go. Hi, Chelsea. We're making a list of all the things we'd like to get done during social distancing, all the ideas you have. So just join in with us for a few more minutes here. Oh, actually, we're finishing up. So we have been writing for a few minutes, and I would like to see what you guys had for ideas for things you would like to do during this period of social distancing. What are the most, wild ideas, whatever you would like to do? What popped into your brain as you were brainstorming this? Does anybody have any ideas that they had? I'll take down the writing journal. We don't have that right now. Anybody have any ideas? Let's see if I've got any. Oh. So some of my ideas were to do yoga, because I saw Bill Bender on there, and I thought that is something that he inspires me to do. So I should do some yoga. I could do some dancing. That one I probably won't do. And then I just, I start thinking of just all sorts of crazy stuff. In-depth letters to all my kiddos. That was from Susan. Thank you, Susan. That's a really great idea. I want to write in. I need to do that. I have kept a journal of things that I've done or that have been going on in my son's life, but I have to admit this last year I've just been so busy I've hardly entered anything in there. Maybe nothing. I've hardly taken pictures. It's just been horrible. So yes, that's a great one. I also thought of archery, which I don't know how that would work. It just came into my mind. Play the piano, poetry, write fiction, and those were because Holly's here. And yodel, who should I blame that on? Let's see, I'll blame that on Carrie. Should I blame that on you? I'm just kidding. Anyway, pray, definitely. I think this is a period to really deepen our prayer life. If you are somebody who prays, this is the perfect time to really work on that. And if you're somebody who meditates, that's also a really great goal for this time. Read a sacred text daily. That would be another one that I thought of that might be a really good one for some people. Heal a relationship. This is the time. And I think giving people a chance in our household to really have some compassion around them, but also to try to see where they're coming from without being triggered, and how to really listen to them. It's a challenge sometimes in our own homes. And so I think that this is a period that we can start to transition our relationships in the ways that we want them to be transitioned, because we're never going to get a better time than this. This is the most set aside time that we'll ever get for that. A lot of you are also going back from college to your parents' home. This is a big time for you in your life because you are now becoming an adult. So you're in that transition phase, and it's very uncomfortable sometimes because your parents might still think of you as needing rules or whatever, or that you're their child, but you're wanting to feel more like an adult. So this is a great time to start to work on how that's going to look and what that's going to be like. And each of you will have to work that out on your own, obviously. And that's something that's a worthy endeavor during this time. Why not? You won't have necessarily another chance like this. Also, with healing a relationship, I think it's really important to reach out to our elders. They're the ones that are the most at risk during this period. So make sure you call your older relatives and connect with them. Because what if you don't get a chance? That's the scary part. This period, we need to really recognize the poignancy of life and the sacredness of life. And that means facing it, but it also means embracing it with joy and love. When my mom was diagnosed with cancer and we realized our time with her was limited, it was both awful, but it was also a gift, because I became closer to my mom than I would have maybe ever. I dropped everything and I was just with her. And so that period was a period that I remember the most with my mom in my entire life, and I was an adult when that happened. So that's really, it's really an opportunity, and we don't often get that time to kind of wake up to a relationship. We don't get that opportunity to do it until sometimes it's too late. The person has already passed on, and then we have regrets. So this is a time to make sure that we're paying attention to those things that might cause us regret later. So I also put down organizing my home, and that to me also means blessing my home. When I go around and touch the spaces and clean them or organize them, I also know that I'm blessing, I'm making my space sacred. And this is, you think about how churches are a place of worship. Well, so are our homes. Our homes are where we live out the, well, in Lutheranism, that would be the priesthood of all believers. So we are all divine in our own aspect. And so that that's an amazing thing, is to think about, well, I guess those are two different things in some ways, but we all have a divine spark within us. And to honor that is also in our own living space. And so, oh, and then one of the ones that my brother had brought up to me was to have a spa day, because he lives with a lot of girls. I live with boys, so they don't think of spa day. But I thought that was really funny that they had spa day doing general beautifying. And so I thought, oh, that's great. I'll do that too. I'll floss my teeth, etc. And that was some good ones. Does anybody have any other ones they'd like to do? Any other ideas? Let's see. Oh, we've got some other. Oh, hike. Susan had some other ideas. She's got hiking and walking, sewing, tailoring, and repair. Now that one's one I always have on my list, but it always ends up going towards later in the list. And I think that's funny because it always gets knocked off, even though it's been on my list since I was probably 11 years old. But it's just a little too far down. Cooking, putting food by, art, gardening, landscaping projects, addressing community needs, lots of card sending and care packages, journaling, quality conversations with husband, and meditation. Those are some great, great ideas. So, okay, so now this next part, what we're gonna do is we are gonna move to the next part of this, and I want you to spend just a few minutes writing deeply into the question. Well, I want you to choose one of these three. What do you want to heal? Or what do you want to learn? Or what do you want to try? And I want you to write about what those would be, but also allow yourself to go on tangents with it. So we're going to write for that for just 5 minutes right now. And we'll start right now. So that was, what do you want to learn? What do you want to heal? And what do you want to try? And we start right now for 5 minutes. Okay, so wind that up. And I want to ask if anyone discovered anything. Hi, Pam. We're just starting some questions on the journaling, and I'm so glad you're joining. That's awesome. So with this, we were just learning, we were asking, what do we want to learn? What do we want to heal? Or what do we want to try during this session, this time of social distancing? So that's one of the parts of what we could do during this period. We don't have to do that. This is just the first questions that I thought would help us get into this idea of what we want to do. And did anybody have anything they want to say that they wanted to do? I'm glad to hear your eavesdropping. That's awesome. So did anyone have anything that they found out from that writing? Did you discover anything? I actually, in my writing, I kind of looked at all three. Did anybody have one they wanted for healing? So my idea was for healing was that when I first found out that I was going to be doing this particular workshop, I thought, my own anxiety right now. I tend to get a little bit anxious during the spring, and it's very interesting because the anxiety that I feel, which is really just energy, can come from anywhere. So it doesn't really have necessarily, I'll find anything to trigger it, right? In the fall, I always see that anxiety as excitement. In the spring, I find it a little overwhelming. So I'm not sure exactly what that's all about, but part of why I feel anxiety is I tend to bully myself. I tend to push myself around. And I think that it's really a commitment we have to make to ourselves that we are not going to allow ourselves to be bullied by others or by ourselves, even ourselves. And we have to take a step back and see what it is that we actually really want. and to allow ourselves to not also do perfect jobs. You don't have to do a perfect job. You can just try things out. Like today is obviously not going to be a perfect first try at Facebook Live. And so I wanted to try it ahead of time, but honestly, I was afraid if I tried, it would actually go live to people before, well, I was actually practicing. I didn't even know how to practice. So it was a big, this has been a big impediment for me. So that was the other thing, is what did I want to learn? I wanted to learn how to do Facebook Live. I wanted to learn how to do Zoom. And I wanted to learn how to do online classes. Well, I've actually been wanting to learn how to do those three things for a while. And all of a sudden, here it is, all at once, right on top of me, right? And I think that that's often how we manifest, is it manifests fast when it goes. And it feels completely overwhelming. It's super fun, but how do we dial it down so we can enjoy the manifestation? It is a miracle, and yet we're whiny about it, or at least I am. So I get overwhelmed, and I don't see it as something wonderful. I think of it as just something that is a little almost too much. So I have to figure that out, and that's one of the things that I want to work on a little bit. Dave Giswald, hi, or maybe it's Vanjie, I'm not sure. Over in Dundas, I believe, right? And good to see you. So the other thing that I saw that I wanted to do was that I realized that there was, I wanted to, there's some things that I've been pushing myself to do in the future, but it's actually not the right time to do those. So I can actually let those go, which I hadn't even fully come into consciousness about. And I think that's part of the reason that writing is so powerful, is it helps us become fully aware of what we actually need to attend to and what we don't, and find solutions just super quickly. That was in, 3 minutes or something like that. No, 5 minutes, I guess it was. Okay, so the next step, where are we? We're at 4:52, so we have a little bit more time here, and I have a lot more questions about some of the ways that we can open this up, but I'm a little afraid of just leaving you open-ended. So I don't want to, we can go back and ask those questions again. Maybe take a few notes on this if you want to do it while I'm gone, or I can put those in the show notes later. Is what are some tasks that you've been putting off? What is one thing that you could do to help others? And what is one thing you could do to help your own life trajectory, especially for college students? This is an important time to be thinking about what you would like to do for your own life trajectory. This might be a time to work on your CV or your resume, things like that. But also you probably have some coursework. So now, but what I want to do now is we want to start narrowing the list, because by next week, I want you to go away from that sense of confusion. And so allow yourself to keep opening the field while we're gone. You can keep opening it, but then I want to give you the tools so you can narrow it down, because we want to narrow down to the things that are the most important, so that you're not feeling like you have so many things that so many good things and bad things that you could and should be doing. We want to knock out all those shoulds and all those coulds and get very clear, because at this period of time when that feels very confusing, one of the reasons that we have anxiety is because of that confusion. Once we get clear on what we're actually going to have as our sort of our mantra, if you will, or our purpose, or whatever we want to do for just this short period, just this period in time, just during this social distancing time. Once we have those clearly in place, we'll feel a lot more relaxed. We just need tasks. We're like the dog, the border collie. They're working dogs, and they like little tasks. So if we have little tasks and we know what we need to do, we'll feel a lot better. We're just funny that way. We're too work driven. So that will, oh, here I've got some more. Rebecca, nice to see you. Okay, very good to see you, Rebecca. And Holly, she wrote about anxiety too, and she's working on some techniques to work on that. and learning some skills. Oh, I love that. And Susan's working on stream of consciousness. Yes, stream of consciousness. We can actually, perhaps next week, I'll work on a stream of consciousness writing session. I wanted to get a lot of this introduced today, so I don't really have time to introduce writing as meditation, which is very important and is different than just journaling. So we can work on that. I'll make sure I do that next week, give some directions on how to do stream of consciousness writing and meditation writing that will help keep this all together and help deal with anxiety in a very actually physical way. It's crazy. It's psychological because it's our brain working on writing something out, but it's actually very physical. You'll feel your hand will actually slow you down. And Holly asked, is that pandemic on the table? Oh my gosh, it is. Yeah, we're playing we're playing a lot of board games. We like board games, but right now we're playing Pandemic Legacy. It's kind of a theme, I guess, and that's sad. My husband's reading 2 books on the Spanish flu in 1918. So yeah, we're deep in. Anyway, so this last little bit, we've got 4 minutes left. Hi, Nadine. We've got 4 minutes left. And what we're going to do now is I'm just going to give you this little exercise. We'll do it, and then we'll come back next week to see what you've done. And I would like you to report in the comments so that I can talk about it and so we can see what people have been doing. But also we'll do some other writing exercises next week. So on this, I want you to, for the next 2 minutes, I want you to write what makes you, it can be a list even, what makes you feel free, what makes you feel relaxed, and what gives you a sense of luxury. So free, relaxed, luxury, and go. We're going to do 2 minutes only. Okay, and I have to bring us back, even though that's pretty short, because I've got to close this up pretty soon here. So did anybody have anything on their list? I had, so what made you feel free, relaxed, or luxurious? So whatever you have on your list, I want to make sure that you realize that that's actually a huge sign of some of the things you're supposed to be doing right now. We have all these to-do lists, but what's going to make you feel the best is to make sure you incorporate in something that feels freeing and relaxing and luxurious. That's also when we feel anxiety is often when we haven't been doing that. I'm not talking about what is sort of thought of as luxurious by other people. I'm thinking more about what makes your life feel full and rich and loving. So for me, those are getting enough sleep. I like to take baths instead of showers. And that doesn't take any extra time. For me, it's actually shorter. Having long hair, it's shorter for me to take a bath, but I take really quick baths, but they're luxurious every time. And I love taking long walks, and I love writing, so that's why we're here today. So as you're doing this process, what I want you to do this next week is I want you to keep working on some of the things that make you feel really good or things that you want to get done. Then I want you to start making that list, make the full list of everything you can think of, but then start rank ordering them and think of which ones you want to put at the top. So as you put those at the top, so tomorrow is your rank order, and then the next day I would like you to do one micro action towards the one on the top of your list. So try to just take baby steps and just towards one, but start doing that rank ordering so that you know that some of these that are on the list can go towards the bottom, and it just doesn't matter. When you're 92 years old, you're not going to remember that you did a perfect job on your, well, I shouldn't say this because I'm teaching at the university, but you're not going to remember that you did a perfect job on that term paper. What you are going to remember is that you hung out with your little brother. So I want you to make sure you put at the top of the priority list things that would really be important to you that you will remember. And now I need to say thank you to all of you, and I hope that you are able to find some ways to sort through the confusion and embrace this period of poignancy and difficulty, but also of grace and the possibility of manifestation. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Thank you for joining.